Yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 128 of Mini Truckin Magazine, August 2002. You have George Monroe's USA Hot Rod themed S10, at least Hot Rod themed truck, USA themed cover. Andrea is the cover model. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. One of one covers for Pharcyde Customs Club. The sixth cover was Centerline wheels. You know the routine, stick to the end. I'll share with you how many cover trucks total had Centerline wheels. Now, I thought this cover could have possibly waited one more month to September 2002, which would have been the 1 year anniversary, unfortunately, of September 11th. However, just the way it fell, it ended up, ironically enough, on the August 2002 cover. So, you can see here, this American flag was added. Of course, you could kind of see some of the updates that we've talked about a little bit with the art director and things like that. So it was a nicely themed cover. And then you have, I forget if that's Kent's S10 or not, from Rezo 2002. I think it is, technically. Gets confusing for 2000, but we'll see it in here. So let's jump in here. Appreciate you guys always coming back. Many good comments constantly. If you see something that we can add to the information, the database, we would certainly appreciate you guys chiming in with any content. The thing I love about the TOC, also known as the table of contents, is it gives a little bit of insight, of course, as you would imagine, so we can kind of see some of the feature trucks that we're going to be talking about here. Including this awesome S10 that I really like. The cover truck you can see here, basically where it was shot, inside studio. Of course, that made it easy for them to superimpose the American flag themed cover. Okay, so the scrub line by Lance talks about, you can see here, 30 years of Chevys, which they pay homage to in this issue. The actual tie-in wasn't the S10. Some of you may know the S10 debuted in 82. In fact, it had been about 30 years since Chevy entered the light-duty pickup or mini truck as we know it in the early 70s. Now, fun fact, Chevy LUV, L-U-V, stood for light utility vehicle. Of course, that was a compact mini truck that was produced by Isuzu for Chevy. It was introduced in 72. That was the same year the Ford introduced the Mazda-produced Courier. Another fun fact was that the early mini truck shipped without a bed. So basically, there's a cool article on Haggerty where they talk about it's actually, ironically enough, called Spreading the Love. You could pretty cool article there talking about the Chevy LUV. But there's also an article on thoughtco.com, and I'll put both links in the description. But it was called the chicken tax, and it was a 25% trade tariff, which is a tax originally imposed on brandy, dextrin, potato starch, and light trucks imported into the U.S. from other countries. It was intended to restrict the importation of those goods. The chicken tax was imposed by President Lyndon Johnson in 1963 as a response to a similar tariff placed by West Germany, France on a chicken meat imported from the United States. So crazy stuff, but I know you're going, why are you sharing all that? It ties into this 30 years of Chevys, and that ties back to 1972 when the Chevy LUV and the Courier were introduced. There you go. The more you know. Cue the little NBC deal that would play. The more you know. Okay, so game on. You have a Cody Taylor 2000 GMC Sonoma extended cab. These trucks are timeless. Not a lot of Sonomas featured over the course of time, but of course it falls into that S10 family that we all know and love. Most of us love. Occasionally you'll find someone that doesn't like an S10. There is some sick stereo. These trucks in untouched form are seemingly getting harder to find, as you'd imagine. This was from the famous calendar feature shoot. That awesome S10, kind of SS look to it in the Coddington ad. Here you can see Rezo And that is Kent's truck. I was pretty certain it was Kent Ladner. Of course, this would grace the cover of Street Trucks. You can see there he had the Phantom Grille with the shaved corners, which I actually like this look better than the actual shaved corners. You get the extensive logo across the front. Got a chance to see this one a couple times in person at ShowFest, but Kent was certainly showing that thing everywhere. Billy Bob's Mazda, shout out to Billy Bob, inducted into Hall of Fame this year. And we could see this was kind of a famous photo / truck with the taking another sip of the potion, hitting the 3-wheel motion. This thing was super sick. Looks like Dangerous Toys there maybe, but man, look how clean this is. The micro cab, long bed, railing, dude, that is that should be illegal. That thing's hot. Looks like Ernie's truck there, rest in peace, I think. And you can see the Tacoma Got You Sick on the tag. And then you can see we are getting closer to all color. I say that only because not looking forward to the actual issue, but if you really flip through this issue, there's not a lot of black and white. Ironically enough, I'm on some black and white photos now, pages that is. I Need to Get a Life, Finnegan with his Life in the Fat Lane. Here is Industrial Chaos. This was John Burgess, his S10 from Woodland, Texas. This thing was sick. I saw it at Heatwave 01 in July of 2001. And something different about it was he had these 3 compressors. The inside of the bed was totally sick. I loved how the airlines were, I think, different colors. You can kind of see green there. I mean, there's a lot of color to this thing. Was in RA. Now, this truck, I posted it a couple times, photos I've took of it. I do believe Extensive had built a frame. I saw the gray or silver frame at ShowFest. And I think, and I could be wrong, you guys could chime in, I think this was a truck that might have been taken apart, or at least the frame built, and I don't think it ever maybe got completed. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I love the truck, and I took photos of the chassis at ShowFest that year. And it really drove me to want to do a stock floor chassis like these guys were starting to do. But regardless of that, look at this. I built the truck to piss off my wife. I love it. There's a Heatwave 02 ad. But regardless of that, this truck in itself is sick. And unfortunately, we don't have a clear shot of the bed other than this section here. But again, it kind of different. It had the 3 compressors. You could see the bumper deal was all painted. Super, super sick. And pretty awesome truck. Again, just one of those trucks that probably doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Paint and graphics after shaving the tailgate handle. John's Mini was treated to a plethora of PPG colors. So, pretty cool stuff. This was a cool ad because it showed just the chassis in there. Bad Boy S10 total air suspension. Kind of in that era of Easy Street and all that stuff. Here you can see the truck for sale, make offer. Pretty crazy to have your truck in an ad like that. What better way to help try to sell it? Here's Scraping the Glacier. Shout out to the Pacific Northwest, Kinfolk. Former Severed truck, cover a tailgate, now in Committed. I believe I saw it at Lone Star this year. Sitting pretty. They're having a show this August, so August 2023, depending on what year. Imagine someone watching this like 30 years in the future going, what were these guys doing? Why were they doing this? Mighty Max, so many awesome Mazdas up there. Check that thing out. Talk about a mod. You got like kind of like the what I call the Avalanche deal walkthrough. Pretty cool. These trucks I sometimes get mixed up. This was King Tuck. Then this is the other one I saw in the Pacific Northwest, Magical Minis, that became Severed. and a Mazda. Plenty of Mazdas up there. But just know, Sitting Pretty, that club that's been around a long time, Craig Braid's been on. They're having a show this August 2023. You can see here, devious ad. Brace yourself, classy cross members. When guys were trying to, you know, put a cross member in, this became a big thing in the scene for a while, you know, just doing, and it's still kind of a thing, but, you know, just doing some pretty trick cross members and whatnot. It kind of got wild there for a minute. Chris Morgan's 97 Ranger, super clean, and the big homie, Matt Torgerson. I stayed at his house. Thanks again, Matt, for mini nats. I can't wait to go back up there and spend some time, bring the wife next time. But this was Torgerson's 85 Astro. Of course, he originally body dropped my truck, originally bagged it as well, and Matt is really a master of his craft. This thing kind of is a blend of a few different vans in terms of motivation. And we'll talk to Matt here hopefully soon and get him on as a guest. But this thing was sick. It did eventually get traded. Mike Lewis painted it green. Matt had, I think, blown in all the, you know, the door jams and all that stuff. But Mike, I think, eventually painted it. It did get totaled and it's bounced around. I say totaled. It got really messed up and it's bounced around a few times. I think it's still technically around. I believe Matt could chime in. I think this was shot at Spring Fling for some reason. I want to say that. I remember we took it up there. And I posted video on our YouTube channel that I had totally forgot about from going to Spring Fling. I think that was the year possibly. So check it out. There's some rolling footage in there and whatnot on OLP's YouTube channel. But shout out to Matt Torgerson, good friend, and started Severed Ties Florida chapter. Here you got riding around. Again, you're seeing more color, bigger, stronger, longer. Base tubes. I was looking at those recently, reminiscing about some old terms. Fast forward when speed hits the pavement. You can see here, George Monroe's 97 S10 sportside standard cab. Super clean truck. Definitely was, I think, deserving of a cover. It tied in nicely to the Chevy themed piece that Lance wrote about. You can see inside the bed all done up. Really nice. Billet mirrors. Talked about those a little bit on Rob Scepter's truck. Some guys started running those. And you can see here, up close, past photo credits there. Truckin. Super clean interior. This was popular at the time with the pod, the gauges, the pod gauges. Lots of tweed, kick panels, painted accessories, white face gauges. Super clean truck, and you can see Pharcyde on the back window. Super nice truck. One thing that I think is awesome about it is, being that it was just bagged, we start to get to a period in the magazine that everything was, body dropped, seemed like for a long time. But the other underrated thing is this right here, that it was the 4.3 V6, but it did have the supercharger, which is awesome. It is, Vortec. That's what I want to double check. Vortec supercharger. So those, there weren't a lot of those that I remember seeing, but definitely looks pretty cool. And you can see, of course, it continues from the previous page. Here was the thing Lance talked about. I think someone had wrote in, they ripped out a thing in an old magazine and trying to get a sticker. And he was talking about, hey, did you know the logo changed? Ironically enough, I had been waiting for that to talk about it, and then I forgot. And then thanks to an awesome viewer, they chimed in and said, oh yeah, that's when the logo changed. I was like, yeah. The one big thing I wanted to talk about, I forgot. Tubs for dubs. Of course, dubs being the term for 20-inch wheels. Wonder who dubbed that name. Here's Phil Fowler. Coverage. Check this out. Kind of Lenny Groover. Is that the one that became green? that I Hate Phil owns now, possibly. I guess so, because if this was up there, Cliff had it. That's got to be it, right, Phil? Phil's a great friend and always set me straight on some of the stuff up there, the intel, I should say. You know, he'll chime in and go, yo, ODB, it was such and such. Upcoming episode, we'll also have Paul Davis on talking about something cool. You got the aquarium. Mike needs to do that on his Mazda. He's slipping. Super clean, hard body. This thing was a little different. Another hard body. Low Rollers. Shout out to those guys. They're on Instagram as well. And I just posted a video of kind of an outtake video of Phil's truck that came out awesome. So many videos, so little time. You can see here lots of color on the ads, which is good. Back to black and white. Definitely appreciate you guys if you leave a comment, leave an emoji, just a thumbs up. It helps grow the channel. Believe it or not, we've got to get through all 269 issues of this magazine. This was Dan Rechichi. I saw this truck, luckily, at Noack, I think 2000. And what I always remember about it is as soon as I see this truck, I think of Ultra Images. And I think it had a sticker on it. But this truck was, part of it was done, the ironic thing was a New York truck. And I think when I had Steve Nielsen from Ultra, I think I mentioned this truck. We saw it, Noack was Atlanta, New York plate, some work done at Ultra Images, of course, in California. And this thing was super sick. Like, you think early, 2000, this truck had graphics, full interior. I mean, look, dude, a TV in the dash. I mean, Mike's not even doing that on his Mazda. But, I mean, this thing literally had everything. I mean, it was a full-blown running and driving show truck. I got some good photos of it. Maybe a couple things, 20 years later that you may end up changing, but look at the inside of the bed, all the graphics, the frame totally done. Inside the bed, how it looks all factory raised. And it had the 4-cylinder, same engine I had in mine originally. Being that it was a little bit later year truck, you've got all your ABS type stuff, but all of this stuff looks so good. And this truck is, again, another reason why I do these flip throughs is there's some trucks that have kind of come and gone, and for whatever reason, way before social media, they just maybe didn't get their full credit. Of course, he got a feature, but tip of the cap to Dan. I mean, dude, I would say this truck is super sick, man. Super sick. One nice touch you can kind of see here, the Lexian window that Steve and those guys, and I think Bob and whoever technically was originally selling them, that they made so famous. I know Sean Dell and some of those guys had them too, but kind of a Cali thing, I would say. It's got that. But certainly an awesome truck. And it's kind of a reminder for me, even though, I've got my database and I, got all the intel on these trucks, some of these issues I haven't looked at in 20 years, believe it or not. So I kind of tend to forget. Oh, yeah, it was featured. That's right. Chris Keown. 99 S10 Snake Bite. Super clean truck. Again, extended cabs gave you the opportunity to do a killer stereo setup, which is fantastic. If you like what we're doing here, check out any podcast app. Search OLP. OLP. Hit follow or subscribe. It's free. There's the photo I keep talking about. What's up? And check us out. You can see there in the upper left corner, you've got Ride Right with the Ranger that was on the cover. May 99, I think it was. And graffiti continues. Yeah, I was pretty certain this micro cab that we saw earlier, I don't know what it is, man, but as soon as I see that truck, I think KRZ Customs, and you can see KRZ, they did some pretty badass body drops. Of course, one of my favorite trucks was the S10 with the peach chassis. Saw this truck at Indy Truck Bash, I think it was, I want to say. But you can see there graffiti. There's Tim's old. A couple guys have had this truck, of course, over the years. But Tim from NC Florida had it. There's the Isuzu. That's the one that had the door handle drop down real low, I'm pretty certain. I was looking at photos the other day of it. And again, if I ever get anything wrong, or you know, you say, hey, I think it was such and such. Hey, I appreciate you guys chiming in, because, like I said, some of this stuff I don't even remember where it comes from in my mind. It's kind of crazy. But something I'll tell you is this was the 6th cover with Centerlines. I think there were, I'd have to go back and double check, but I think there were only 10. It was 10 or 11 trucks, if you can believe it, out of 269 covers. Now, again, if it's a multi-truck cover and it's 2 trucks and, you know, it's, let's say, you know, BAD and Centerline, you know, okay, then I've got a category where it's BAD and it's Centerline. But if you think about Centerline, super popular wheel, you know, we all know that. And that's the crazy thing. You know, sometimes I think like, hey, there had to have been more trucks, cover trucks with Centerline wheels. Well, there were 10. And I'm pretty certain it was 10, including this one. There's a few more after this. This was, of course, 6, so you got 4 more, as you can imagine. But certainly appreciate the support. Again, please check us out on any podcast app. We went 4 years straight. We're now bi-weekly, but we've got over 300 episodes. We're at 332-ish at the time of this recording. I'm going to go ahead and flash up now to subscribe if you haven't already. A lot more coming once I get through these. A lot of other magazines. Some stuff I've spent way too much money on over the years, buying stuff. But we got to share it all right here on the OLP channel, your mini trucking headquarters. Rest in peace, Danny D. We out you. Peace.